TopMedTalk.
Nick Majerison here. This piece is taken from the Society of Cardiovascular Anesthesiologists annual meeting. We're going to be looking forward to their new meeting, which is happening on April the 18th through to the 21st this year. Make sure you pop along and you can have a chat to the TopMedTalk team when we're there. Want more details? The place to go. SCAHQ. That's scahq.org. I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Well, welcome to TopMedTalk. We are here in Chicago at the Society of Cardiovascular Anesthesiology 41st annual meeting. I'm Desiree Chappell, host and managing editor of TopMedTalk, and I'm joined by Monty Mythen, editor-in-chief. Hello, Monty.
Hey, Desiree. Great to be. I'm good. We're having a sort of plate fest here at the moment. I think they're building up to having sort of some Greek wedding plate smashing contest. Is that right?
That could be fun later.
Is this traditional at the SCA?
This is how we roll.
This is how the SCA rolls. Okay. All right. Well, so Saul Aronson also joining us. Hello, Saul. How are you? And we're joined by one of our very special guests, Dr. Tjorvi Perry. And you are technically from the department, or you're in the Department of Anesthesia at the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. Yep. You've given a presentation yesterday, and then you're going to be presenting again tomorrow. Well, thank you, Tjorvi. I think that one of the things that you gave a presentation on yesterday was...
It was from art to automation.
There we go.
Reclaiming our intuition and our presence.
Yeah.
Okay, now what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, so I thought I was going to talk about technology and how it's helping us and how we're making better decisions. And then the more I read about this, the more I understood that a lot of this is just opinion. So, you get into automation, you get into artificial intelligence, and there are people that are interested in it and studying it, and you have these MIT geeks that are doing that, but a lot of this stuff is just opinion. So I thought maybe I'll just write. It sort of came across as an opinion piece, and I thought to myself, well, why is it that we want technology? And what I came down on is, so that I don't have to do it, so that I can make room in the operating room for actually being there, being present, taking care of the patient. And, for those of us who have done this long enough, I think there's some energy in the room. There's something that happens that you, if you're not in tune with it, you don't know what's coming. And if you just have your head down and you're doing your tasks, from one thing to the next, you're going to miss that thing that happens. And so the idea is, can we leverage either existing technology or work with industry or academic institutions to come up with technology that takes some of this off our plate so we don't have to deal with it, just automates it. And then we become more present for our colleagues too, right? For our colleagues and our patients. If you look at an operating room, over the course of 100 years, it's changed quite a bit. So now we have 5, 6, sometimes 7 monitors. You have an EKG machine. You have drug delivery systems and pumps that are kind of scattered all over the place. It can be done. I'm saying it can be done in an intelligent way. Because if you look at a typical operating room setup where we spend our time, it's clutter and chaos.
Yeah,
and
sure.
There's very little depth to the information that's coming at us, right? So we learn about pertinent positives and negatives in medicine, but the information that's coming at us, it's all coming at us all the time. And I wonder if we can develop strategies where the pertinent information comes at us when we need it. And then if that pertinent information is pertinent, then we can go ahead and look behind that and see what's going on.
Yeah.
I always had... an expression, and I use it today. Monitors work for us. We don't work for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of a colloquial way of describing what you just said. That said, let me push us. Let me challenge this conversation. As monitors evolve, as our ability to integrate the information that come from those monitors, the smart algorithms that would come. That's probably a good thing in that it'll enable us to be more productive in a time where productivity pressures are going to continue to increase.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder about that too. I don't know that it's. I'm not necessarily going for productivity. I'm going for. I know that my brain and with my biases and my basic needs, I can't handle the information that's coming at me. So at one time or another, I'm going to miss something that you're going to pick up on, and vice versa. So my point with some of this is that can we develop algorithms that take care of, and we can start with mundane, repetitive tasks like intraoperative glucose control. Can we, if we put our heads together, can we develop a closed system insulin delivery system that just takes care of that? Same thing with closed loop fluid systems, or do I need to be making decisions about my transfusion strategy in a creative fashion every single case? Or are there ways to standardize, systemize, and then package these things so that I'm no longer participating as much as I did before? And then I wonder what happens with the room that's created.
Fair enough. And to that point, I would argue, yes, that is likely an inevitability as we evolve. Mm-hmm. And so I do believe that will happen. And I think it will happen because we have the intelligence, the augmented intelligence now, the neural learning, if you will, capacity to make that happen. And I think that's sooner than later because of the rapid pace of the evolution of this space. And so what will happen with the time that you are now given is that I think, back to the productivity metric, I think we will not do less. We will just do more with less.
Yeah. I was going to ask Monty. So we've talked a little bit about some of utilization of AI and moving to some of these closed system.
Yeah, I'm a fan for many of the reasons I think we're touching on, because at the moment we're still spending quite a lot of time with our head down fiddling, and if we let the computers help, and I often use the analogy, as I said, about autopilot, for example, whether you're flying a plane or a sailboat, I think is the analogy I like. Like, I've decided I want to sail 148 degrees, but I need to go to the restroom and I'd quite like to drink something. And all by the time now I looked up, I've just noticed a big rock over there. That was handy. So, but you're still in charge.
Yeah.
But you're just letting all of that help and give you more bandwidth to maybe have a closer look at the surgeon and see how stressed they are. And take a closer look at the wound.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things in there. I think we have there seems to be an aversion to having this discussion or to moving towards more technology, at least in the circle that I'm in.
I'm not surprised. I would predict. I would presume. We all want to feel valuable. We all want to feel irreplaceable.
Right.
And it's threatening to think that you may not be irreplaceable.
So that's such a good point, and I really identify with that. And one of the things I said in this talk yesterday was, I think we've gone from the art of medicine to the tasks of medicine. And so we, from the time that I get up in the morning, I have a certain way of doing things for my cardiac surgical patient. And if I don't do them in the right order and at the right time, then I feel like I haven't done a good job. And when that becomes the culture, then I think, and you start to internalize those things, that's where I think a lot of this well-being burnout discussion shines through, where you're having people go home at the end of the day saying, I don't think I did a good job. And all we have are these tasks now that we do. And I don't know where this actually goes once that goes away. I mean, how much of our identity is wrapped up in this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Wonderful discussion. Really important because it's an inevitability. I don't think we can put this genie back in the bottle. No. It is what it is. Yeah. And so it really begs the question, how do we define our worth? How do we define our value as the world around us continues to evolve? Because we cannot keep the world around us from evolving.
Yep.
And the collateral, if you will, damage or consequence of these sort of dynamics are discussions like burnout and self-worth and meaningfulness.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting time in healthcare, excuse me, in anesthesia, and you could argue in cardiac anesthesia in particular, because we're all coping with these realities. We can't hold them back. We have to adjust to them. Yeah. And I think we're going through a really interesting transformative place right now.
I think you're right, though. This does come from a deep, I mean, you have to have this conversation on a deep level where you're talking about fear, and things like that. When I hear my colleagues say, I don't believe this technology. I don't. What do I need another monitor? Right. I think underneath that is something that we need to talk about.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a fear. Monty?
I mean, for many of the tasks on balance, it's highly likely that the machines are going to be better at many of the tasks.
Agree.
So if we take the regular review of the chest radiograph to make sure that nobody missed the lesion, because that wasn't the reason why you took the chest radiograph, it seems fairly certain the computers are going to be better. They don't even have to be better. They're going to be as good as the human being that's concentrating really hard.
Already are, Monty.
Exactly, but I'm treading carefully there. So therefore, why would we continue to want to defend the role of a human being looking at that chest radiograph? Well, it's protectionism, but actually that individual can go do something else in medicine and be valuable and valued.
Yeah. I agree with that, but that takes a lot of courage and innovation and foresight, and to come up with what's my next thing.
But if we do embrace it, then we'll get the most out of it for everyone.
Yeah,
it's the fight that will get messy.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't mean we got to be sloppy about how we embrace the opportunity and let the computer try and work out pi to infinity and eventually take over the world. Right. Because it's the ultimate drive that has to achieve that.
Yeah.
But if we say, actually, you're better off at giving the norepinephrine infusion to keep the map at the number I've decided I want it at.
Right.
Yeah.
Then hurrah.
I'll put a plug in for Eric Toppel's new book, Deep Medicine.
Okay.
If you haven't picked it up, it looks like a big book, but it's a very easy read, and it's just a wonderful summary of the history of AI in this world. I think he paints a very fair picture, and he does touch on different industries, including medicine. And I think that if you're worried about losing your job, I don't think you need to be. I think there's a lot of hysteria around this, but I think if you are really worried about this and you really are interested in this topic, I think that book will be your anti-anxiety pill.
I think. I mean, if you're just qualifying as a doctor now, I think you should appropriately evaluate.
Yeah.
The jobs that are likely and highly likely to disappear.
Yeah.
It's not that your need to be a clinician or physician, whatever it is going to disappear, the need for those individuals. It's just you're not going to be needed to do that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's happened plenty of times before, hasn't it?
Right.
I mean, certain specialties that used to have whole floors to practice no longer exist within a hospital environment. That's just because
go read the literature about disruptive technology. I mean, it's all over the place, and people have evolved. Some fall off, some don't want to do it, and they fall off the earth. But the ones that are in it for the right reason will evolve and continue to push and grow.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. Finger on the pulse. Love your new title of the lecture as it's evolved to.
Yeah.
Did you get feedback? Did you get a sense of ease or discomfort of the audience when they were listening to it?
Okay, so thanks for bringing that up, because I did change the title again at the end, and I changed it to Balancing Art and Automation, because almost nothing in life, when you kind of settle on it, is binary, right? It's always on a spectrum. It's always some balance, and I think I'm not here to say we shouldn't practice the art of medicine. I think we've lost sight of what the art of medicine is. I think we've replaced it by something else. But the art of medicine is extremely important, both for our own well-being and our colleagues' well-being, and for the patient. So that balance between art but then I'm fierce about the automation. I think we need to be
I agree. I mean, the default of it's a complex medical decision to answer confounded and conflated. It's not. If you really look at deep neural learning, there are algorithms that will help you, come to a obvious answer, and there are algorithms that can do that in an automated way much more efficiently than we can as humans.
Yep.
So we, therefore, as humans, have to find another role to fill those unmet needs and gaps that exist. And I think that's exciting. Those challenges are threatening to some and exciting to others.
But if they're, with a burnout rate of, I can't remember the numbers, but it's high. Anxiety, depression. We have physicians committing suicide. If that isn't reason enough to, that's my why.
Yeah.
Right. For this talk, that was my why, and I took that approach because I've tried a lot of other approaches, and it's hard to get people to listen. And maybe if you make it, the idea was if I make it more personal. Because everybody knows somebody who's struggling.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Desiree.
Cheers.
TopMedTalk.
It's Desiree Chappell here. Just a quick reminder, subscribe to TopMedTalk. We're a daily source of news and conversation focused on perioperative care. We bring you all the latest talk from all the major conferences in the perioperative space. We can also be found on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we now have a free mailing list with special offers and additional goodies for subscribers. Go check us out at TopMedTalk.com. That's www.topmedtalk.com.